The sunglasses are here so I feel more comfortable. And also because they make me look cooler. Alright, so recently I sat down. And I decided that I was going to try a new video game. I didn't know what video game at first. Later on, came on to Monkeys. So I was watching a Scott video. He was talking about Wii games that went to the 3DS, and one of the ones that he mentioned was Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. This game, he was saying good things about it. I was already kind of convinced, you know, I was thinking whether or not I should get it. Hearing him talk about it and saying that this was the best version made me want to get it. So I went ahead to eBay, got the game, received the game, played the game, loved the game. I thought I'd take the opportunity to talk about this game, why I like this game so much, just what goes on in this game, whether you should buy it too. Donkey Kong Country Returns, it's a return to the Donkey Kong Country games. The last one was like 97, I think. I'm not too sure. I actually wasn't alive back then, believe it or not. Picked up Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D instead of Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, even though I have a Wii. And that's mainly due to what Scott was saying about how this game has extra content and most importantly, better controls. In the Wii version, to control a lot of the commands, you have to shake the Wii remote, which at this point in time, I haven't played a Wii in maybe 7 years, so I'm not that keen on doing that. The first one that I picked up was Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D for the Nintendo 3DS, a system that I haven't touched in 7 years. Alright, so what do I think about this game? So I finished this game recently, maybe last week on the weekend after work. I sat down and went, I'm going to beat this game because I really at this point desperately wanted to play Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. For like the last week of owning this game, I was starting to have enough of it. I was like, I don't want to play this one anymore. I just want to get to Tropical Freeze and just, you know, be done with this game. Not that it's a bad game, not that it was just me being, I just bought Donkey Kong. I just bought this and I was already excited to play it. But owning the game made me like desperate to play it. So yeah, I played this game, opened it up. There's things that I want to talk about it. One thing that I would like to mention is how Scott DeWoz, when I was watching his video, he was describing this game, how to play this game. And he was saying stuff like, you know, with this game you got to really play, you got to play it like a Donkey Kong game. You can't play it like a Mario game, you got to play it like a Donkey Kong game. What's a Donkey Kong game, Scott? I didn't know what a Donkey Kong game is. I never played one before. I played a little bit of Donkey Kong Country, the original, but I got bored of it, so I stopped playing it. So, I don't know what a Donkey Kong game is. Don't know how to play a Donkey Kong game. What do I do? And that's kind of the problem with it, partially. The fact that if you're telling someone what to expect, you can't just say, you know, this is a Donkey Kong game. You've got to play it like a Donkey Kong game. What do you mean? Basically what he was saying is you got to really absorb the levels and you really got to feel Donkey Kong is another thing that he was saying. Again, like if that's all that you take in and you start going into this game, I didn't find it to be a lot of fun at first. I was trying to play like Donkey Kong. I was looking at him and I was going, so this is what here he is. He's an ape, a big giant freaking monkey, and he's running around a freaking jungle. And I started playing like that, but I didn't get the appeal at first because of it. And I mean, the first worlds of this game don't really have the Donkey Kong style, so it kind of makes sense. You can truck your way along that, but there gets a point where it just becomes really difficult to do. For the first little while of this game, you can kind of do that. You can kind of play it in the same kind of way as a Mario game, but also not really. You shouldn't just hit the run button and just hop your way through. You should play it more carefully, because you try and play it like how you would in the later levels of this game and it's kind of stupid. You play like a Mario game and it's really stupid. after a while you get to a point in the game where it will click to you. You'll understand what Scott is talking about when he says play it like a Donkey Kong game. You do really have to absorb the levels, and you have to be really careful. There's patterns sometimes that come in and you have to watch for them. Oh, if you can, absolutely get Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong is really helpful in this game. If you don't have Diddy Kong, it's like almost, sometimes it feels like you don't have Diddy Kong, you are screwed. That's the thing. He's really, really helpful in this game. Really nice, and I really like it. The way that this game plays, I really like. I've never played a platformer that's allowed me to really take in the level and treat it carefully. I've played the Mario games, they're hop, skip and a jump kind of games. But sometimes there are parts where you have to kind of treat it more carefully. It's still not anything like this. These levels, it's not like when you're playing Mario and you have one of those difficult levels that you have to watch, and like it's so different. You really have to pay attention to what's happening, and instead of just going, oh, that's there, got to jump over that, be careful not to hit that. You got to watch the level, take in the level, pay attention to what's happening in the level. And then that's how you jump from place to place. It really helps a lot. There are levels in this game that I didn't like. The ones that I didn't like the most were the ones where you were in a barrel that could fly for some reason. It was like had a rocket ship attached to it. And you were flying across. You have to try not to hit stuff. Sometimes there would be an enemy that was throwing a fireball or something like that. I don't like those levels. I don't really like the mechanics of flying objects most of the time. I don't think that they control very well. They're very slow. They have a bit of a delay. Some people will really like it and think that it's really fun, but that's not my thing. Which ones did I like though? Well, one of the ones that I really enjoyed were the ones was at the back of the box. If I show you the back of the box here, these ones right here, this one where you are in like a shadowy kind of area, you can't see, you have to try and figure out for yourself what enemies are where. And I really like it. In Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, I think it's a lot better. I think that they do it a lot better. One of my favorite levels is like 1-3, I think, in Tropical Freeze. These ones I don't like as much, but I do like them. I think that they are really creative and they're very memorable and they're really cool. There was also a level, there were a bunch of black flies or something like that, and you had to try and get across a level without getting eaten by them. This is also something that happens pretty often in 2D video games, and this game, no exception. Now the boss fights on the other hand, I don't really like the boss fights in this game. The boss fights I thought were really annoying. I never really liked boss fights to begin with in video games in general, but these are my least favorites. They're so much harder than any of the other ones that I've ever played. And some of them follow a pattern, but then they don't always follow the same pattern. So you might have memorized a certain style, a certain pattern, but then they completely change it out of the blue and it might put you off, it might kill you. I found that really annoying, didn't like it. The one at the back of the box is, I don't know what the creature is, it's a yellow thing and it has horns. And that one was really annoying. I'm gonna just go over it. What you did, you had to jump, but then you had to jump on its back and then it would, I think it was this one, it would walk backwards and then land on its stomach and you had to get it while it was on its stomach. And you had a certain limit of time that you had to do it. It doesn't sound like it's that difficult. I think it was only the first one. I didn't like it very much. I actually died a few times on it, and you're going to do that. The lengths of the boss fights can be kind of annoying. Sometimes you think that it's over, you think it should be over, and then it just keeps going for another couple. You have to hit him on the head a couple more times. I find it kind of annoying. I don't really like it. It's kind of the same with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, but this game doesn't do it as badly. I love the theme of this Donkey Kong game. I think that the theme is really great. It's really Donkey Kong feeling. You feel like you're in Donkey Kong's world and you feel like Donkey Kong while you're playing the game. And I think that it's awesome. I've never felt it before. It's very different to a lot of games that I've played. I never felt like a monkey before in my life until now. I really liked the world. You're in a jungle pretty much all the time, but then sometimes you might be in a ruin, sometimes you might be you know, on a beach possibly. I think it's a beach. But the whole thing feels like you're in one world, you're in one big world. It still feels like Donkey Kong's world, and it still feels like Donkey Kong, which is a really good thing about it. And that's something that some people prefer over Tropical Freeze. Some people like that this is a more traditional Donkey Kong game. I don't really mind either way. I don't really care about the environments. I kind of cared more about the levels themselves. But if you want to talk about environments, one thing that this game has over Tropical Freeze is that it feels more like a traditional Donkey Kong game. So if you like Donkey Kong games, if you like the original Donkey Kong countries, like you would rather play this. I mean, otherwise it doesn't matter. There are two ways that you can play this game. You can either play it the easy way, or you can play it the traditional Wii way, which is basically you got 2 hearts. I wanted to play it the original traditional way, so I decided that I would do it with 2 hearts. I want to try it again with 3, and I want to see if that's any easier. Most definitely will, because it is so difficult with 2 hearts. Like, if you don't really like having a serious challenge in your video games, I would recommend just doing the 3, and I would have done the 3 if I knew how hard it was going to be. This is a difficult video game. Damage taking. Damage taking is something that I find really stupid in this game. When you take damage, you have your character flashes a little bit, goes on and off, which is indicating that they are immune to anything that can hurt you for a few seconds. But sometimes even while it's still on, like towards the end, when it's still flashing like that, you can still take damage. And I found it to be kind of annoying. I was trying to get my way out of wherever I was in, and I felt like I had more time, but then I would take damage. It's kind of quicker and kind of more annoying than what the Mario games does. I didn't really like it too much, and I still don't like it in Tropical Freeze. The final boss of this game is fun. I actually like the final boss. It did go out of pattern a couple of times, and I had to do it a little bit. It took me about, or maybe in general 40 minutes, possibly. I hope it didn't. It did took me like 20 minutes of sitting down with the game and actually trying to beat it in one night, which I did. And I like it. It's actually kind of easier than a majority of boss fights than you get in the game. Like, my least favorite one was this one where you're fighting against a beetle, and he's running up to you. He rams into you, rocks fall down. You got like 3 layers that you have to do it in, and that was really annoying. I didn't like that one at all. But the final boss fight I thought was a lot of fun. I had fun with it. You have a pattern of ducking, jumping, jumping on his head a few times. It's a lot of fun. Usually I don't like difficult video games, but this video game is a video game. This is like my favorite difficult video game that I've ever played. I've never played a video game that was this difficult that I've enjoyed so much, and that after I played it, that I've actually fully beaten. I've never even gone close to playing a lot of them. This one right here, this is a challenging video game. It's frustrating at times, but I really like it. I actually think it's a great time. And I would recommend it to people. Now, if you're looking for the 2 different versions, out of the Wii version and the Nintendo 3DS version, it really doesn't matter. If you prefer button controls, then go with this one. This also has extra content in it, apparently, but I haven't gotten around to that yet. This game looks a little bit worse, but it's really not noticeable. You actually can't tell at all, and it also runs at a lower frame rate, but again, you can't tell at all. I thought it was going to be a much bigger issue, but it actually really wasn't an issue at all. It was great. Didn't take away from the experience. The only thing that really took away the experience for me was I didn't really feel like playing a handheld game, and I only have this on handheld for the time being. Otherwise, I think that this is a great game, and I would recommend it.